You've got a business to run, big and heavy products to ship, and customers who need them now. When you've got the right driver and the right equipment, you can bet on a spectacular result. Bennett understands complex logistics and puts the best team, the most time, and the latest technology into every customer relationship. So you can sit back, relax, and enjoy the race. Let us handle the rest.
We can move anything.
New Orleans, the capital of jazz, Crescent City. This is a place that has many nicknames, but what it most certainly has is a fantastic racetrack. And that's where we are today at NOLA Motorsport Park. DJ Clark alongside Josh Hurley for the call here for Trans Am presented by Pirelli. And Josh, this is a deceptively tricky track. A lot of bumps, a lot of technicality, and a lot of difficulty.
It really is. It's actually become one of my favorite tracks because it's very bumpy, very tricky, and it has a little bit of everything. You have low-speed corners that really work the tires. Tire wear is going to be a big story for those low speeds. You have high-speed corners with big commitments, and then in all of those corners, throw a couple of big bumps that upset the car and really make shocks part of the story. So you're going to get to see a little bit of everything today, which should produce some great racing.
It's going to be great racing, and another thing to keep an eye on, tire wear is going to play a pretty big part.
Yeah, especially these low-speed corners with the bumps, because the bumps even wear the tires out more. You get wheel spin on top of the bumps, and it just rips the rubber right off the tread, and that makes the tire degrade more and more, and it's especially big in those TA cars with all that horsepower.
All of that horsepower, they're going to have to deal with it here at this point. It's not going to be easy, but we'll be ready to come back to racing action with Ben Sissel's Grid Walk, which will be coming up here in just a few minutes.
How good is this? Look at this view from Losowski.
It brings all my fans, it brings the audience into the car with me.
We turn 140-mile-an-hour entry speeds.
The quickest and most efficient way for me to get information to my drivers is from using the V-Box HD2 system.
Well, welcome to the NOLA SpeedTour Fan Walk. I am here with Richard Forsyth from Texas, not too far away, and you've had great races at Sebring and Road Atlanta, but then you come here and your crew is working hard to change the engine. You go out and you found some glitter in your oil, huh?
Yeah, I'm afraid so. It keyed us in when the crank sensor went out and the motor died, and it was getting trashed by the glitter oil, and that's what woke us up that we had a problem. So, yeah, and so we're going to have some issues doing any kind of a real race today, so we're going to go out and get some points, you know, which is what you got to do sometimes.
Yeah, and a lot of people that are running for points, and I know that you are in the SGT class, some people would go home at that point, but you got to take that green flag to get the Trans Am points. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. The points are very important to us because we've got the points lead right now, and we're doing consistently quite well, and we're going to keep going with strong, we hope, in the future coming up all season long. And, you know, that's the plan, but we want to get the points necessary. The engine's safe enough to go around, which it did. We did several practice laps. As long as the crank sensor doesn't turn us off, we'll be fine.
And love it. Richard Forsyth.
But I'd like to thank the G-Speed built Corvette, and these guys are amazing normally and everything, so I want to give a big shout-out to them.
Nice. I love it. I love it. Well, then we've got the classic battle coming over here to Milton Grant, who was with us on the podium at Road Atlanta just a couple weeks ago, another SGT driver. And these Porsches, you know, you can't do too much on this drag race down to one, but then basically from one to the rest of the race, it goes to you.
Yeah, I got to go back to it, don't I? So, yeah, and Richard was first at Atlanta, and I was second. Look where we are. So it shows you the twists and turns of this series. So it's exciting to be here and have a lot of people in the field. So, yeah, beautiful weather.
Nice. I love it. Well, good luck out there. And we're going to talk to a lot of these GT drivers. Don McMillan, you know, you've been in the series for so long, but it seems like lately you kind of pick one or two to come to, but I'm so glad you're here in this beautiful Corvette.
Yeah, I got my priorities back in the line and made it to another one. So,
nice. Now, NOLA, the big drag race, and then into the twisty bits with the Corvette. You're kind of equally yoked for both. What's your strategy?
I just try to stay on top of it. I didn't get a lot of practice, so I've been here about 6 years ago, so I'm about a little behind. I got to get caught up.
Well, thanks for joining us here. Then we've got the two Maseratis here of Chris Coffey, Colin Cohen for Norwood Auto Italia out of Dallas. Josh Carlson. Josh, you got to explain to everybody what this is. You're running an SGT. You've been with us this whole season, but everybody's asking me, what kind of car is this?
Yeah, so this is a 2012 Trans Am TA2 car. It's too old to compete in the TA2, but it's still competitive enough to compete in SGT.
Love it. Well, good luck out there in SGT, Josh Carlson. Now, I want to talk about this. We've got Kaylee Bryson over here. The third row. You got to check this out. It's an all-Corvette, all-female third row. So, Kaylee, you've been doing really well. I've been watching you out there, and it just seems like you're really fast, and then just something happens. But this is the race. This is the race you're going to be on podium, isn't it?
I'm going to try my best. But, yeah, this is our first time qualifying first, and we're having a lot of fun. We have a really fast car underneath us, and, you know, we're going to do our best to go out here and try and get a win.
Nice. I love it. And then we go to Amy Ruman, who won here. I know we just talked about, was it 16 or 17? But she got second place and then first place the 2 years that she was a champion. So NOLA's got to feel pretty good for you.
Yeah, I mean, we qualify got cut a little short yesterday, so we didn't really get a good lap together. But I think the race is going to come to us today. It's hot, and I think the tires are going to be definitely an issue. I think we'll be conservative, but stay in front, hopefully.
Amy Ruman doing really well in the points. She knows how to win a championship, ladies and gentlemen. She's done it twice. Then we come through here. We're going to try to move up to the front here. Tommy Dreesy, Adam Andretti in the beautiful Camaro. And then up front, we've got Paul Menard with Masterforce Tools. And then Chris Dyson up here. But this is a special race, and I'm going to interrupt him because basically my mentor in Trans Am, the whole time I was in Trans Am, somebody that's helped me out so much, John Claggett. This is the second to last race he's going to be at with us, the president of the Trans Am Series. I get a little bit sad, John, because you've mentored me through this and you've put up with all of my craziness all these years. It's going to be so sad to see you go. Can't wait for Coda to see you again. But this has got to feel kind of bittersweet.
You know what? It's a lot of fun. It's good to see great race car drivers on the grid and a beautiful day. I can't think of New Orleans with better weather than this. So it's all good.
Nice. I love it. Well, thank you so much for all your service and really building Trans Am to what it is today. Absolutely unbelievable. So we've got Paul Menard was just around here somewhere. Oh, he's talking to Dyson. So we've got Paul Menard over here talking to Dyson. It's always funny because Dyson will come up and try to talk to Paul of what he's got. Paul Menard doesn't really offer too much, but, man, nice job with NOLA. Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, this is a fun track, man. It's very technical, really slow up front, really fast in the middle, and slow again at the back. So it's got a little bit of everything. Guys did a hell of a job. GT3 guys did a great job all weekend. Just want to get through turn one clean and just go set a good pace and see what happens.
I love it. Well, Paul Menard, Masterforce Tools. And then we're going to give it over to Bill Knox here. Bill Knox is going to please take off your hats and lead us in an invocation. So, Bill, take it away.
Thank you. If you'll join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we give you all the praise for this gorgeous day that you provided for us. Father, we ask that you wrap your almighty hands around the drivers, the officials, the crews, the spectators. Father, that you keep them all safe. Father, we ask that you also hold our first responders and our military in those same hands. Bring them home to their families. In your Son's most precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Bill. And now, ladies and gentlemen, you are in for a special treat. 11-year-old Ava Johnson, fresh off of her tour on Broadway. Ava, what were you doing on tour?
I played young anime on the Tina Turner National Broadway Tour.
Oh, my gosh, and Tina Turner, one of the best ever. Well, you are here to sing the national anthem. I've heard so much great things about your voice, so let's hear you sing the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we once were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Goodness. Ava Johnson, fantastic. Thank you so much. DJ, I'm going to throw it back up to you in the booth.
Thank you so much, Ben Sissel. Absolutely incredible down on the grid there at that point. And we are very, very excited to get going here at this point. Welcome, everyone, to NOLA Motorsports Park. DJ Clark up here in the booth alongside Josh Hurley. And it is good to be ready and good to be racing as we take a live look on board Tommy Dreese's machine, starting out in third place. And, of course, the big story here, the fight for pole position between Paul Menard and Chris Dyson. We'll talk a little bit more about what that could be here at this point, but it is going to be a fast and frenetic race here at this point. We're going to have to watch out for it as they go. And welcome to everyone joining us here on MAV TV. DJ Clark alongside Josh Hurley from NOLA Motorsports Park. We have got an absolutely spectacular 37 laps of racing action in store, Josh, around one of the most deceptively difficult circuits in the country.
Yeah, this track doesn't get enough credit for being as difficult as it is. It has some sections with some really high commitment where you have to use all the downforce these cars can make through the S's. Then you have some really slow speed technical corners. It's really hard to put the power down, really works the tires and wears the tires out. And then add on top of it, you have as much bumps as Sebring. And there are different types of bumps, so your Sebring setup doesn't transfer here. You have to come with a whole different package. It's a really exciting track. And I can't wait to see these TA cars rip around here.
Well, and as we've witnessed over the course of this weekend, for those that weren't aware, we kind of had a little bit of a, well, dare I say, monsoon on Wednesday. And it is variable weather, so it's not like you're able to carry in the same setup even day after day. Weather down here in New Orleans changes so much. That's got to make it even more difficult.
Yeah, and on top of that, it's actually a pretty warm day, and these Pirelli tires, as it gets hotter, they're going to wear faster. And on top of that, the rubber that gets laid on the track gets slippery as the heat gets hot. So as the track gets warmer and warmer and more rubber gets laid down, the cars are going to slide around more, even if they're taking care of their tires. So you might see some guys hunting around different lines, looking for different spots to try to actually find some grip. You might see that especially like turns 3, turns 4. You're going to see guys playing with that a lot, especially in the TA class where they have to put down that 850 horsepower.
Yeah, a lot of horsepower being generated by these cars. And we'll keep an eye out for that. I hadn't thought about that, coming through 3 and 4, looking for those variable lines. We'll kind of call those out when we see them. But we've also got to talk about the rest of this field, not just the TA category. SGT and XGT, absolutely fantastic. But we'll get talking about them in just a few moments' time because we are ready for the most famous words in motorsports.
Well, thank you, DJ. I am here with some of the members of Son of a Saint, which is an unbelievable mentorship program. We've got Rodney here, Gotro, and Aiden Bailey here. So the mentor-mentee, tell us a little bit about Son of a Saint.
Absolutely, thank you. So Son of a Saint was founded 13 years ago by Sonny Lee, whose father untimely passed. His father also played for the New Orleans Saints. You might know him. He was Vivian Lee. So the mission of Son of a Saint is to foster independence and basically mentor fatherless boys across New Orleans. So us, the mentors, we get mentees, and basically we spend quality time with them and just help them become the men that we know that they can become.
Nice. That is awesome. And Aiden, I'm sure you're having a great time with that. Well, gentlemen, get loud, get proud. Please deliver the most famous words in motorsports. Take it away.
Gentlemen and first place winners, if you think you're going to get first place, start your engines!
Nice job. Always incredible to hear those engines fire up and to hear those commands given out by the grid. This is what it's all about here at this point. We were ready to go racing.
I think so. And before we go racing, though, we got to do some pace laps. Pace laps are actually really interesting. You should really watch some stuff on the pace lap. Because this race is long and it's so warm out and the tires are going to dig, they're all going to be starting on really low air pressure. So you have to get that air pressure up because if the air pressure is low, you can't use the curbs, the car doesn't handle right. So you have to use these pace laps and really build heat. But you can't really build too much heat in the rear tires. You're going to see them working the brake and weaving to try to build that temperature. The pace laps are really, really critical to those first 4 or 5 laps of the race.
All right, well, we've got to ask the question because I hear this every time on a broadcast. Is it weaving or is it acceleration and braking? What's the best way to get the heat in the tires?
So they're a little different. The acceleration and braking builds the best heat in the tire. The weaving is to clean them off. Because we've had other cars out here, there's rubber debris all around the track, and if you drive over it when the tire's warm at all, it picks it right up. So the weaving cleans that off, and the acceleration and braking really heats the tire. The other reason you might want to weave is if you're starting on sticker tires, which you shouldn't be, because you have to start on the tires you qualified on unless you had an unfortunate incident. Then the weaving also cleans that shiny mold release. You ever seen a new tire? It's all shiny, and that shiny layer is really slippery, so the weaving cleans that off, but that gas and brake is what builds the heat.
All right, there you go. One of the age-old questions in motorsports finally answered by Josh up here in the booth. Cars firing off, ready to get going, and ready to be able to head on out. As there we see, we were talking a little bit earlier about that SGT and XGT category. The big thing we've got to be talking about, Kaylee Bryson, she had a couple of struggles this year. Not the best run out in Sebring. It looked like she was on the back foot. Some car issues there. But before we get to that, they just don't want us to talk about SGT today. We've got to go to the circuit voiced by you.
Hi everybody, I'm Josh Hurley, and I'm going to take you around NOLA Motorsports Park. Really fantastic track, a lot of fun to drive. Coming down the fast front straightaway, we have our main passing zone in turn 1, which is actually quite fast and bumpy, really tricky corner, and you have to be really careful on the exit because it really sets you up for turn 2. You don't want to wash too wide. Then we go down to turn 3, 4, and 5, which are our hairpins. You can see right now, Ruben and Paterick are battling out of the hairpin. Really hard to put the power down here. Then we go through turn 6, 7, 8, all very fast, and into the S's, my favorite section of this track. This is make sure you watch this area because a lot of drivers make mistakes. It requires a lot of a commitment, and you get some aero turbulence behind other cars, and it sets you up for the second best passing zone, turn 14. We see Justin Marks passing Dreesy right here and clearing them into turn 15. really slow. It sets you up coming on to the main straightaway through 16 and 17. Really important to use all the road here, get the power down, and that is a lap of NOLA Motorsports Park.
Back to live cameras here at this point. Tommy Dreese bringing his machine around. Dreese's not had the best start to the season here at this point, but he will be looking to be able to get his way forward and push his way ahead. But let's go ahead here and go ahead and talk about this starting grid, because it's pretty fascinating. Up at the top, Paul Menard and Tommy Dreese going to be starting in first and second. Now, those are the first two in the championship as well. We've also got to be talking, Chris Dyson, not Tommy Dreese. Yeah. That was a Freudian slip there a little bit. As Adam Andretti, Tommy Dreese there in fourth place, and then Amy Room going to be rounding out that podium. We talked a little bit about Kaylee Bryson. She is leading the way in SGT, but it's going to be a fierce fight on back. Chris Kofi in that Maserati doing what he's done over the course of this season and dominating the GT class.
Yep, and then right behind him we have Carson, and then Chris Coffey's teammate Colin Cohen, who's learning a lot from Chris and really running those Maseratis nicely. Then we move to Dan McKillen in his Chevy, I believe that's a Corvette, right, in SGT. And then followed by Milton Grant and Richard Forsyth in that G-Speed Corvette. Yeah, going to be interesting to see what they're able to do. Milton Grant not able to set a time due to penalty, and then obviously Forsyth had no time set down. But let's talk here a minute about these top two as we ride on board with Chris Dyson. Now, it is Paul Menard on pole here at this point, but let's give a little bit of a caveat to this, because Dyson is good here. He won in 2023 in the last two races at Road Atlanta and at Sebring. We saw Dyson put down an absolutely blistering lap with about a minute left to go in qualifying. He didn't get a chance to do that because we had a red flag during qualifying yesterday. And you can never count out the Dyson Racing Group. I mean, how long has Dyson been racing everything in motorsports? That's racing royalty. They always have tricks up their sleeve. Chris is always really hard to race against. I'm not afraid to admit it. I finished second to him in a Trans Am race before. He's always really hard to beat. That group really has their car together, so it's going to be a challenge. But we can't discount Paul Menard because he showed be up front in NASCAR Cup. He's up front in everything he's running. So a lot of that NASCAR skill transfers over to these tube frame cars, though these do handle a little better around the corners than those Cup cars do. Yeah, they certainly do. As there you see, he has been able to get a first-place podium. That was down in Road Atlanta, had a problem, went off track, fought his way back up to second. Adam Andretti taking that victory. Then there's Tommy Dreese in fifth place in the championship right now with 169 points. There are so few points separating the top five in this class. It is absolutely remarkable, and it is really and truly, I think, going to lead to a fantastic battle throughout the entire season. Yeah, I'm really excited especially to see what Adam Andretti can do. They got a little bit of momentum coming off that win. I believe that's the first win for that Burton chassis. A lot of development went into that thing, so it's also going to be interesting to see if he can stand up and make it last. I think you're going to see really who can make these tires last. We may see a totally different race at the beginning than we see at the end. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be about preservation of those tires. It's going to be about keeping everything together, and it's going to be about seeing who is going to be able to capitalize here. Really only, I would say, two great overtaking opportunities. You can get a little bit creative down into the infield section, but yeah. Yeah, there's really two great ones and one that's discounted. Turn 3, you can overtake more than you think, but since we're going side by side, looks like we're getting ready for the start. We are indeed. Paul Menard leading the field around as the Ginetta pace car is pulled down into pit lane, coming down through Mission Foods, turn 16. We take a ride board on Chris Dyson as they come on to the main straightaway here at this point. All eyes go towards the flag stand as we get ready for Trans Am presented by Pirelli. Green flag is in the air. Let's go racing from New Orleans. It is a mega jump from Chris Dyson. He is immediately going to be able to get a little bit of a run here on Paul Menard, but Menard's going to have that preferred line going down into Cube 3, turn 1. Later on the binders goes Menard. He's able to make it play, and they fan out in a single file order through turn 2. All right, we're having Paul stretching away just a little bit. Was able to get through there despite being on the bumpy side. Passing in the turn one is even harder because there's bigger bumps on the inside, though a little wide for Paul Menard. That was an interesting line. Not sure if he's wide or trying to do something to take care of the tire.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Again, that's that area that you talked about that you do have to kind of keep an eye on the tire. Interesting there, Amy Ruman all over the back of Tommy Dreese as well, so that looks like it's a pretty close battle. We ride on board with Chris Dyson, though, as they thunder back down through the Bennett Bridge Hall S's here at the moment. Kind of a dab of the brakes going through turn 7 before they enter fully into this section.
Interestingly, I already see something on Dyson's car. You can see the nose is coming up a good bit higher than Paul Menard's. That means they're set up softer, so that should take care of the tires better. You should see that evolve maybe to Chris's favor later.
Now, other than obviously taking care of the tires, what is that advantage going to play out between having a softer versus a harder setup?
So softer generally makes more mechanical grip, but it's a little worse aerodynamically. So you'll probably see him struggle a little bit in those S's and on heavy fuel. But as the fuel comes off, if the car will actually start to pitch the other way because it won't lift the nose so much, because these fuel tanks have to be behind the rear axle in Trans Am. It's a really difficult trade-off to play with. So you'll see that. And Chris may struggle in the high speed, but he'll be really good in those low speed corners, especially as the tires go off.
All right, something to keep an eye out for as cars thunder across the start-finish line for the first time. Tommy Dreese, we ride on board with right now under some pretty heavy pressure from Amy Ruman. As there, though, it looks like coming down through Mission Foods turn 16, he was able to get a massive jump. And Josh, there are those bumps you were talking about coming into one.
Yeah, they are unbelievable. It actually adds a lot of character to the track. It's kind of like Sebring. The track wouldn't be as amazing without the bumps. It really adds some technical element to it. You really have to be on your toes driving the car. There's a few bumps. I can't reveal any of my secrets because I'm racing tomorrow, but there's a few bumps you can use to help turn the car and some things you can do with them that's really, really creative.
All right, we'll come back to you after your race tomorrow. Maybe you can give us a little post thing to be able to get us that there. But we watch Amy Ruman right now. Looks like she's lost a little bit of ground here at the moment up to Tommy Dreese, as Dreese's going to power ahead and keep his eyes focused on the road on last time's winner, Adam Andretti, in that new Claudio Burton designed machine. Absolutely fantastic performance down at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, it was really fun to watch. One of the best guys in the paddock, works really hard. I love seeing Adam get his win. And it's nice to see Claudio get a win with that car, too. It's been a long time coming. He's had a few other good drivers in there. It's nice to see Adam be the one to get it over the line for him.
Yeah, and just an altogether well-measured drive there for Adam Andretti as he really, really put a very, very solid weekend together and didn't make mistakes, crucially, where other drivers were making those errors. Dreese right now, though, looks like he's starting to settle into that rhythm. We always talk about rhythm. We always talk about flow. How hard or easy is it to find that rhythm here in NOLA?
I'm a little strange. I actually like when there's no rhythm or flow because that's kind of my advantage on those starts and restarts. A lot of people really, really need to find that rhythm. But I find it advantageous to be good off the start, and it looks like we have Amy Ruman with a problem pulling off at the end of pit lane here.
Oh my goodness, yes, Amy Ruman down off to the side of pit lane. You saw her there on the corner of your screen, kind of peek out of camera. We'll have to sort of diagnose exactly what that is. May bring out a yellow flag period as she is not exactly in a safe area on the track. But we look back a little farther in the field. That's the number 36 machine of Joshua Carlson. We ride on board with Tommy Dreese right now. He is going to be released from that battle with Amy Ruman. So he's going to be able to hold on here at this point and keep his eyes focused ahead. But we'll have to see. There is Ruman down to the inside as they try to take a look at exactly what's going on there in that machine. Ruman probably doing a Control-Alt-Delete here at this point as they are going to just try to reset the car as they try to get everything set and ready to go. We'll take a quick break, though. And we are back here on Speed TV as we watch Amy Ruman down to the inside. Chris Dyson continuing to go as caution flag flies here. Caution flag flies, Josh. And that's not altogether surprising. That car is in a pretty perilous position.
Yeah, it's in a pretty rough spot, though it should be a quick one. They'll probably just pull her back up pit lane and get her out. But this is probably not what Chris Dyson wants to see. If I'm set up for the long run, I don't want yellows. I want Paul Menard to deck those tires. So probably not exactly what Dyson wanted to see, but we'll find out.
All right, as Dyson brings the car back down into slowing speed here at this point. And sounds like we've got Ben Sissel down in pit lane. And we come back to live pictures here at this point. As you said earlier, Josh, Chris Dyson, not the situation that he wanted to see here at this point. But if you're Paul Menard, you're probably a little bit happy that this happened. You're able to save those tires a little bit as they're going to try to get their things back together. The other thing to keep in mind here, a little bit of a windy day at the moment. We are hearing, by the way, that it was clutch issues for Amy Ruman. Clutch issues, and that's what sent her out here at this point. So that's probably not going to be repairable there for her, but we will have to wait and see exactly what that is as they come on in here at this point. Welcome back, MAV TV viewers. If you are just joining us here, Amy Ruman out of this race with apparent clutch issues causing the first caution of the day. And it sounds like we've got an in-depth interview here with Ben Sissel down on pit lane.
Yeah, thanks, DJ, and sorry about those problems. That was absolutely my fault, but I'm here with Dave Skinner here, crew chief for Amy Ruman, two-time champion. You see him pushing him back, counter race into here. What happened to Amy?
Well, something broke on the car at the start of the second lap, and it was probably the clutch or the gearbox. She said the cockpit started filling with smoke. I don't think it's the motor. She said the motor's running fine, but probably the clutch has had a problem. I don't know, maybe the gearbox, but rather than continue on and destroy things, we're just going to have her pushed back in here and bring her in. So
she's doing so well in the points. That's really unfortunate, but we'll let you go because you can go talk to your driver. Gentlemen, back up to you in the booth. Thanks, Dave.
Well, thank you, Ben. And a heartbreak here for Amy Ruman. She really looked like she was able to challenge there on Tommy Dreese maybe before things were said and done, but getting pushed back into pit lane. And as you said earlier, Josh, probably a quick caution, so maybe not that much of a strategy play out.
Yeah, not too much. Hopefully we should get back to green. Hopefully at the end of this lap, because they already got her pulled back. I'm not quite sure. For those of you race fans who don't know, we also don't use the clutch except to move, so it's nothing Amy did or caused. That's just unfortunate parts failure. You're asking the clutch to do a lot. These cars have a lot of power, so sometimes you have those unfortunate failures.
Well, okay, we're resetting here for Dyson. We know he's probably got that long-run car set up at this point. For Paul Menard, is the team recognizing the same things you are? Are they relaying that back to him, or are they just kind of staying out of his way?
It's usually staying out of your way because it's hard for them to see. Sometimes the broadcast, they have other stuff going on. They're usually keeping track of times or they're spotting for them, so it's hard for them to see the broadcast, and they can't really see a lot from pit lane. So they're probably just letting Paul do his thing. This yellow really helped him, and our restart rules, the leader can really get a pretty decent jump here, especially with our turn one here. So in a way, the restart may help him. Should save his tires, get a nice little bit of jump on Chris, and try to drive away.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what he's going to want to do here at this point, try to extend that points lead up at the front of the field. As it does look like here, we continue to cycle around under that Ginetta safety car. Adam Andretti, we talked about a little bit earlier, a great run for him. Tommy Dreese, you know, he came into this season, new operation, kind of thinking this was going to be his year, and it just hasn't come to fruition quite yet.
It's just so hard to beat him. I mean, you have a NASCAR frontrunner and you have Chris Dyson, who've both been around forever. Not that Tommy hasn't, but it's so hard to beat those guys. They have so much experience in everything. I mean, Chris has run Le Mans and all that, and then you have Paul who's run NASCAR Cup with Penske. It's really hard to beat those guys. They're going to keep working on it, though, and keep closing that gap.
Yeah, they're going to keep trying here at this point, and there is no quit in Tommy Dreese. Rest assured, he is going to keep on going and keep on going. Driving around behind the safety car still here at this point, and it does look like those lights may be out. So we are coming back to green flag, this time by. And as you said, big advantage here for Paul Menard. He's going to be able to get a good jump on this field.
Exactly. With the restart zone, as long as he doesn't spin the tires, which an ex-NASCAR driver has done so many restarts in big horsepower cars, I expect Paul to really nail this.
All right, well, they come down now out of turn 14 and 15 down into Mission Foods turn 16. It looks like there Chris Dyson doesn't want to let him get that jump, but Menard's going to do everything he can do to get it. As there they come out of Mission Foods turn 16, a little bit of a checkup, waiting for the green here to fly. Still waiting as that you can hear those engines purr. There goes the green. We are back into it here at this point, and I've got to say, that's a good jump there for Dyson. He's immediately going to take a little bit of a look to the inside. Andretti's going to do the same thing. Dyson moves inside, moves outside, trying to find that advantage. He's not going to get it. Everybody's staying in pretty much single file order, but look at that farther back in the field. That is Chris Coffey making some moves.
Always hard on these restarts when you're running a mixed class company because the speeds and the way they corner are so different. So those GT and XGT and SGT cars all together, really difficult situation for everybody because the cars have such different capabilities. But let's see what line Dyson takes through here. Notice he's much, much tighter. He's probably going to stay tighter on exit 2, use the wrap, which can work the tires a little bit differently than the wider line that Paul's using. I don't want to say which one's better because, again, I am racing tomorrow.
He can't reveal all his trade secrets quite yet, folks. But I love that insight of just the different ways to be able to come through that. And that's one of the things here in NOLA is there are so many of those corners that offer multiple opportunities for lines that really changes things up. But Menard, you can tell he's pushing, kicking up a little bit of dirt.
Exactly. Got to use every inch of the road, though there is one spot you really don't want to. At the end of the S's, there's a little bit of inch of the road that if you use, there's a big hole, and it's really, really rough on your car. You can definitely break a front suspension piece. That's coming up. Oh, if we stayed on Dreesy 1 more second longer, I'd show you where it was.
There it is. Well, I'm sure we'll get it at another point. Adam Andretti, though, working in third place right now. About 0.3 of a second off of Dyson up in front of him. And there you can see that pitch and yaw of the car. A lot of lateral and vertical load being put through.
Yeah, and you even unfortunately saw him come out of the 2 corners ago, lay a little bit of a black stripe. Don't want to be doing that this early. You want to keep that rubber on the tire still.
Yeah, don't want to let any of that go. Another little bit of a poke to the inside there for Chris Dyson, trying to find that opportunity. Meanwhile, back down in the SGT category, Kaylee Bryson pulling away here. This is absolutely incredible. As we said, Kaylee had heartbreak in Sebring, not really able to get anything to go, but we've got to look a little farther back in the field as we've got a battle on our hands right now. That is Porsche versus Chevrolet. Grant and McMillan. McMillan down to the inside, tries to outbreak the Porsche of them, and it's still going to be side by side coming through the corners.
Really respectful, leaving themselves room through 2. Let's see who gets the run. It looks like McMillan has him covered, which is pretty good recovering from his qualifying issue.
Yeah, able to work his way back up. That car always looks very, very mean. I love the black and red and silver. It's just got that very iconic design, but definitely putting good pressure to him. And as you said there earlier, great respect between Grant and McMillan, not trying to pinch each other, giving each other enough racing room.
And it's really hard to do in that turn 1 and 2 because they're busy because they're both fast and bumpy.
Exactly, and those bumps throw the car off a little bit, so clearly respect given on both sides. McMillan now moving his way up into 8th place at the moment, so he is going to be holding on to 8th overall, and that will be a podium position in the SGT category, so that is absolutely crucial. Checking back in on the battle for the lead of the race, it doesn't look like Dyson is letting Menard run away with it nearly as much as he did in that first green flag period.
Yeah, he probably was able to get the tire pressures up. He probably had some really low air pressure, and that yellow, the pressures don't drop as much because they're still rolling, and he's had some heat soak from the green flag run. So probably a little closer to the window that he's looking for, and that fuel burn coming off, making everything a little bit better. And those tires wearing just a little bit, it's probably better balance for Chris than on brand new tires.
Well, as you saw on your screen, your Unco lap leaders, it's leader in the form of Paul Menard. He has led all 7 laps of this race here at this point. It doesn't look like he has any intention of letting that go. But Chris Dyson pitching the car forward as they go, moving his way through the corners, just trying to apply pressure. And outside of letting that setup come to you, what else can you do if you're in the position here of Chris Dyson?
You really just need to be close enough to put pressure on Menard and make his tires go away. You just want him to have to look in the mirror and think about you. You want him to have to drive hard enough to try to pull that gap and just be there. Your goal is to just keep being there until you wear them out, especially if you think the tire's going to come to you. And when we were on board with Chris, I saw very little steering wheel correction, so I think he's saving those tires.
Very, very little correction. That's going to be very, very good for him to be able to keep that together. Meanwhile, we are seeing a little bit more movement, I think, out of Tommy Dreesy as he's fighting a little bit as he tries to go through the corners. But again, the bumps here on this NOLA Motorsports track, very, very crucial to be able to get around and not the easiest thing to be able to drive. As as we continue to watch here at this point. They're going to keep on going right now. It continues to be Paul Menard leading over Chris Dyson, Adam Andretti, and Tommy Dreese, your top 4 in the TA category, and indeed your only remaining 4, as Amy Ruman had an unfortunate retirement due to clutch issues earlier in the race. As we take a look down this long main straightaway, you see in visual forms the gap between the TA and SGT and GT classes. I got a sneaking suspicion if we don't get a yellow here, we may see some lap traffic come into play.
Yeah, usually pretty common with those TA cars. There's so much power over not just the other cars on track here, but over about anything else in American road racing. So they almost will always catch pack if the lap stays green.
Well, and if they do, it's going to be one of those situations. We talked about it a little bit earlier in the SVRA racing on the day. You want to hold your line if you are that lapped car. You do not want to be unpredictable.
You really do, and it's especially with the TA cars because they're so fast in a straight line. If you're in another class car, I've been in a GT car, you look in your mirror, you won't see a TA car. By the time you get to the corner, it's there. So it also throws a little bit of a curveball for our TA drivers because traffic is really difficult to deal with, and it may make you take a different line and use up a little bit of tire.
Well, and once again, that is the big storyline here of today, is keeping that tire underneath you for as long as possible. The Pirelli rubber will start to wear away at some point, and that is what we think the long game is here for Chris Dyson, as he tries to hold on as much as possible, keeping pressure to the back of Paul Menard. But it looks like Menard starting to streak away at this point. That gap growing to 1.5 seconds. And it looks like Menard is starting to be able to just feel comfortable here at this moment. Welcome back, viewers of MAV TV. It's still Paul Menard who leads the way over Chris Dyson. And as we were just saying here, you were saying a little bit earlier, Josh, that he wanted to try to keep pressure, did Dyson, on the back of Paul Menard, but it looks like Paul Menard is flying in the face of that.
Yeah, he's doing a really good job gapping away from him. And while I'm not seeing Chris having to do much correction, Paul may just be a little bit faster. If he gets that gap out to about 2-3 seconds, that gives you enough room to start laying back and taking care of your tires a little extra. So you might see Paul try to put a few flyers away to make that gap just a little bit bigger, take the pressure off of himself, and then start protecting tires of his own, just in case we get a yellow.
Well, at this point, Paul Menard, on the last time of asking, put down a 34.7, and Dyson was only able to do a 37.6. A 37.4, as Paul Menard, your MCO lap leader, continues to lead with 9 laps in the books. Let me try that again. A 137.4 for Paul Menard, a 137.6 for Chris Dyson. So 2/10 there. May not sound like a lot, but you add those up in all of those 9 laps that he's led, that's going to start to stack up to big.
Yeah, it's really a game of inches. And if he gets away just a little bit, you take the pressure off him, that means he can start saving his tires too. So you might start seeing some of that. If I were Paul, I'd be pushing for a lap or two to see if I could stretch that gap out to that 2-3 second mark. That also gives you a safe margin for if you catch that lap traffic.
Exactly, and you want to build that buffer when you come to it. And one thing here for Adam Andretti is he rides around in 3rd place right now. I've got to think if you're in this position, you're 5 seconds off of P2 here at this point. If you're Adam, are you just thinking, okay, ride this home to Podium?
Exactly, but on top of that, this car is still going through its development, so you're also making notes to the crew. What can we do better when we come back here? What do we need to challenge those Dysons and those Paul Menards? So that's what he's thinking about, is how to make this car better for the next race that they go to, so he can go challenge those guys once again like they did from Atlanta.
Yeah, and that's a very good point. A new race car here, Claudio Burton designed race car, adding a whole bunch into everything here at this point, and he was able to finally taste victory last time out in Road Atlanta, wants to be able to do that again. Tommy Dreese here, we mentioned a little bit earlier, building a new program this year to hopefully be able to challenge Chris Dyson. He has been 3 times the bridesmaid to Dyson's championship, so desperate to be able to get his way forward and finally be able to break that duck in terms of championships.
Yeah, he's been around this forever. He knows how to drive a Trans Am car. It's just so hard to put all the pieces together. It's a team sport. People may only see the driver and the car out there, but it takes the whole package. And anytime you have a new team, you're going to go through some growing pains, figuring everything out, how to work with each other, how to work with the car. So he might be going through a little bit of that right now, too.
Yeah, he very well could be, and we'll have to see as this season continues to go along how things are going to play themselves out and how everything is going to change for these teams. I think it is not out of the realm of possibility that we can see Dreese, that we can see Andretti again climbing up to the top step of the podium before everything is said and done. But this is another team that was recently put together this year for Kaylee Bryson, and she is finally bearing the fruits of that, leading by a considerable margin, 5 seconds over Carlson here at this point in SGT.
And I don't think finally is fair to her because her background's actually very different than road course racing. She comes from a dirt oval and some paved oval background, so she's not only having to learn a new car, a new team, but a different form of motorsport. While some of the skills transfer, it is very different. So she's doing a really good job getting the experience and starting to put it to use and starting to go faster and faster, pulling away in this race.
Yeah, absolutely putting it together. And I know you've got some dirt experience, so talk to me a little bit about those who don't understand, how hard is it to come from a dirt background into road course racing?
Funny enough, I think it's harder the other way because what's so neat about dirt, as I learned, I came to dirt late in life, is you have to adopt your driving style all the time because the track and everything changes so rapidly. So it actually helps you on this stuff because as you're having to look for different lines or dealing with different corners, she's used to seeing different corner every lap, never laps the same on dirt. It's always different. So she should be fairly adaptable. The hard part for the road racing is not only how long the events are, but the precision, and you have to keep the car way more in line. You can't let them get us sideways. Everything has to be a little bit tighter, a little bit tidier than the dirt stuff. The dirt, you can really throw the car and muscle it around, and while we do muscle these Trans Am cars around, it's nothing like the dirt as far as how sideways you can go. Tire management also is probably a little bit difficult for her too because dirt tires, while they do wear, you can abuse them a lot easier. You can abuse them a lot more than we can our road racing tires. That pavement just shreds rubber.
Yeah, and it may look cool to be going sideways through a corner, but it's not necessarily the fastest way to go through the corner. As we take a look, there is second place in that SGT category at this point. That is the number 36 entry of Joshua Carlson. He is bringing his way on through in that Ford Mustang, doing a really admirable job here at this point, just keeping the gap as close as possible to Kaylee Bryson and waiting to take an opportunity if there is a disadvantage to come.
Exactly. That's all you can do is keep pressure on her and keep developing her car so you can come back and challenge her the next race. So I'm sure he's relaying that info to his crew, just like Adam Andretti is.
Just like Adam Andretti. And then we talk about somebody who has been, the class of their field here at this point. That is Chris Coffey, and that's number 38 Maserati in the GT category. He has been a dominant force. I did ask him, by the way, at one point if his Maserati goes 185, and he told me it was a little bit slower than that, which I was slightly disappointed by, but nevertheless, a beautiful car, a beautiful livery, and he has driven it beautifully this year to absolute perfection as he works his way around leading that GT class. Coffey, as we said, leading in the GT category, and as has been the case by a couple of times this year, has a couple of cars in between himself, and that as a driver just gives you such a huge bit of breathing room and a bit of ability to go out and push a little harder if you want to.
And exactly. No, he may not know it because that throws some wheels off there, getting a little bit of dirt on the tires.
We jinxed him.
He may not know it other than looking in the mirror because Chris Coffey's the hardest working man in motorsports. He is pretty much most of his crew. He works on the car. He drives the truck. He works on his teammate's car. He does everything on that car. So I don't know if his crew's informing him of what's out behind him too much because the crew is driving the car.
The crew is driving the car. I like that. I quite like that. Yeah, Chris, a very good guy. And as you said, one of those sort of throwback to the old styles, the Dan Gurneys out there, the Carroll Shelbys that would wrench and race at the same time. It's always fun to be able to talk to those folks because they have such a great appreciation about the car and the way that it goes. And you are never going to see them ding up the car. I can guarantee you that.
Oh, though he does drive it hard. He's actually fast. So you never know, but never on purpose. A lot of respect for what's going on, what it takes to put one of these cars at any level out on the racetrack. It's so much work.
Don McMillan here, as we saw earlier, making the pass over the number 55 of Milton Grant to put that Chevrolet Corvette up into podium position. A good run here for the number 51, especially after having that penalty served in qualifying, moving his way back on here and trying to see what he is able to do, as we are starting to see a little bit of lap traffic play in here at this point. There's Adam Andretti coming in behind him as they go. And as we come back on MAV TV, you just noticed something up here in the booth, my friend. It looks like Chris Dyson has put the hammer down. It's a little bit closer between himself and Paul Menard.
Yeah, he more than half that gap, so he's getting real close. So it's probably getting about halfway, a little bit less, but about starting to see some tire deg. So that's probably starting to play into his hands. We'll see what lap traffic will bring to him, because they should be getting to that in just a couple laps. Yeah, they certainly should, and some of that lap traffic is going to be those on your screen here at this point. This is Milton Grant in that number 55 Porsche 991.1, and that's actually Tommy Derisi coming onto the back of him right now, so that is going to be a little bit of a battle. Here we check back on Chris Dyson. That green machine up in front of him, that Ford, certainly getting a lot closer in the windshield. Yeah, when we look on the timing, you saw it looks like Paul had a 139 lap last lap, which is a couple seconds off what he was running, and Dyson just keeps banging out those 37s. It's kind of what I expected to see. Maybe not the fastest lap from Dyson, but able to stay at that lap time for longer. And how hard is that as a driver to be able to regulate yourself? Because, I mean, full confession, I come from a world of sim racing is my main thing. And so my problem is I always want to push 10 tenths. How hard is it to restrain yourself back to that 7 tenths? It's totally a personality thing. I'd say the field is split. Like 80% of the people just want to drive hard all the time. I am actually from the other way, because I came from slot cars, which are, little cars on the track. And if you overdrive them, you come off. So it's a big mistake. So I'm a habitual underdriver. So I really like being in the position that Dyson is right now. It's really nice also watching that car just slowly coming to you. It gives you a lot of confidence. So I much prefer to be in that, but that's me. Most drivers just want to go out there and drive 10 tenths. Well, we'll have to see who is going to be able to do that. But before we keep an eye on this battle, we're going to go down to Ben Sissel, who's down in pit lane.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. I'm here with Aaron Pierce, who I'm used to seeing in a Trans Am car with the Team LSI, Sam Pierce Chevrolet. Kaylee Bryson is just kicking butt right now. It seems like the race is coming to her. But as the driver coach, what's she saying on the radio? How's she feeling?
She's really not saying much. I mean, that's a good thing. She's pretty much in race mode, just trying to click off laps and keep the tires on the car. And, she's adapted well to this road race stuff, and she's just going to get better. So, just keep it going the way we are, and we'll be in a good spot.
Nice. And then as a driver yourself, usually the quiet drivers that are focused, those are the ones you don't really want to talk to too much on the radio. Do you ever say anything to her?
Really not much. Just give her information if she needs it, and, that's about it.
Nice job. Good job out there creating some gaps with Josh Carlson. Gentlemen, back up to you.
Well, thank you, Ben. And there, just a little bit more insight on Kaylee Bryson in that O2 machine as she continues to put down a very impressive pace here in the SGT category, looking for her first win on the season. Yeah, let's see what line choice she sees here. So she's going about mid-track and then coming back. So I don't know how that car works its tires, just always nice to watch what lines they're taking there, because that 3-4 section, there's so many different options, and they're all pretty much similar lap time, just how your car works and how it works the tire. Yeah, and it's all about that feel and that rhythm of the car that we talked about. Well, that you don't like as much necessarily, but... Exactly. I'm a little bit of a weird one. I like that lack of rhythm, and I like tires coming to me. I like when it gets hard and weird and challenging. All right, is a little bit of lap traffic causing a little bit of run here for the leader. And look at that, Chris Dyson closing the gap down once again as Paul Menard working his way by some of the lapped cars in the GT category. Look at that, they're on top of each other coming down through the Bennett Bridge Hall S's. Now, here comes something difficult for Chris. You really get a lot of aero turbulence in these cars. These cars
cars have gained so much downforce over the years that right now he's probably getting some aero understeer, and that's why you're seeing it stretch out just a little bit because he has to drive the car differently in Paul Menard's wake. But in the low-speed stuff, I think is where you'll see Chris really, really close up, especially on corner exit. And I think I saw a little wiggle out of Paul that time, too.
All right, let's take a look here as he comes through Mission Foods turn 16 and gets the power down. Not seeing too much there at that point. There's Kaylee Bryson, who we were just following. That's a visual representation. They have just about lapped the entire SGT and GT field, but where that aero weight comes into play down on the S's, it comes into play here as Dyson takes a look down to the inside, poking out of the draft.
Yeah, this is what you want, blood in the water. He sees that Paul's suffering a little bit compared to him, and we still got a good bit of way in this race to go.
Yeah, we do. We are just over the halfway point here, if my math is correct, and full caveat, never trust a commentator's math. But there as they go down through this infield section, about 2 car lengths in between the two. Your MCO lap leader still is Paul Menard. It is singular here at this point, as Menard has led all 17 laps of this race, but with Kaylee Bryson in the form of lap traffic in front and a very, very quickly approaching Chris Dyson, that may change soon.
You can even see there, you can see Chris offsetting his car just a little bit, trying to get the inside headlight of his portion of his car to the inside of Paul Menard to just get some air on it to keep some downforce. Though a rough place to catch Kaylee. He's going to have to do a big commitment around the outside. That's going to cost him. He has to redo all that work to catch Paul. It's always hard.
But how much is Paul going to be thanking his lucky stars here at this point and thanking his own talent, because he put that green number 3 right into position to put Dyson into a disadvantage.
Exactly. That's well played. Coming from the NASCAR side of things, he's run with a lot of lap traffic, so he knows how to play that game. You got to try to catch people where you want.
And he caught him exactly where he wanted at play. But once again, the draft coming back into play here for Chris Dyson, and just a representation, that lap was about 4 or 5 tenths of a second slower than Paul Menard in front, so he lost that time here at this point. But Dyson working his way through the corners right now. That aero wash through turn 2 may be coming into play through one of those higher speed corners. He's going to try to be able to get a little bit of a better run here. Different lines coming down in through turn 3. Where will Dyson be able to make the move? Will he be able to make the move? We've got plenty of time left to go here in this race. And we come back to the action live here at this point as Paul Menard continues to try to hold off a charging Chris Dyson. Dyson lost all of his time on this portion of the track last time around. Let's see if he can gain it back up.
And that's the hardest thing as a driver. You did all that work. You have to fight and scrap and claw for every inch you can get to that guy, and then to miss time traffic and lose a couple seconds. It's a lot of work to get back. So it's a little bit frustrating. So you just have to calm yourself down. Remember, you were able to catch him before. Take care of your tires and let it come to you. Don't over push. Really easy to overdrive in this situation.
I was going to say, that's got to be the most common thing in the world, is to want to try to react and to go back to that 10 tenths. And especially if you were Dyson in this point, that's the opposite of what you need to do.
Yeah, you just need to, you caught him for a reason, so trust yourself. Go back to that old plan and just slowly and methodically start marching your way in.
Well, he's going to continue to go here at this point. That gap on the last lap, it looks like things recycled a little bit, but once again, Menard able to pull him another 4 tenths of a second away, so maybe favor coming back to Paul Menard.
Yeah, you might be seeing Chris trying a little hard, trying to get that gap back, or maybe Paul being away from live traffic helped his car out a little bit.
Yeah, maybe it did. That aero wash that we talked about, swapping back and forth a little bit, that could have been the play that we see. Right now, Adam Andretti running in 3rd place. He's about 23 seconds off of your leaders, but about 12-second gap in between himself and Tommy Dreese. So that's going to buy him a little bit of time there at this point to be able to be running in a race of his own. And he'll be relatively comfortable, not feeling to push too hard or to hold back too much. As we rejoin you on MAV TV, it still is Paul Menard leading the way. Chris Dyson behind. Adam Andretti in third place and Tommy Dreese in fourth. Kaylee Bryson, the standout here in the GT category. But Andretti just looking for that opportunity like he had last time out in Road Atlanta.
Yeah, exactly. You always got to be there and take advantage of other people's mistakes. Back on board with Tommy Dreese, though, as he tries to run down Adam Andretti. A little hard to do, but they're still working on this car. Let's see how he looks through here. Oh, he's catching lap traffic, so he's going to have to think about that aero wake, maybe offset the car a little bit. Hard place to catch those GT cars, too, because those GT cars aren't slow in a corner.
No, they're certainly not, and that's Chris Coffey, who is not slow in any portion of the racetrack in that Maserati. But Coffey does what we talked about earlier. Goes onto the traditional racing line, makes Dreese go the opposite way to get around him. But what Coffey did was be consistent and be smooth about it.
Well, and he even did one step beyond that. He also did something to actually help his own race. So people catching you can really slow you down too. So you really want to facilitate the pass. So what you saw him was not only take the normal line, but actually brake a little bit earlier to let Dreese through to not hold both of them up. Holding the other car up often costs you time as well, so you facilitating the pass is actually a really important skill when you're in a slower class.
Well, there you go. It pays to be both a good passer and a good passee here at a circuit like this. Now coming up against the number 36 of Joshua Carlson. Dreese taking a very quick dive down to the inside in an attempt to be able to get his way back forward and move his way along. That gap at the line, by the way, was about 13 seconds, so he's got a lot of ground to try to make up, but he's certainly trying to push on it here at this point.
Let's see how this looks. There's one other nice thing in this corner. That little concrete seam really upsets the car too. Again, this track's so technical, so many little details. Curbs, concrete, patches, all sorts of details, and it looks like Chris is closing back up a little bit. That gap is under a second again.
Yes, it is. It's the last lap time there, a 38.9 for Paul Menard and a 38.8 for Chris Dyson. So it looks like he's found his mojo once again, and Dyson back on the attack on the back of Paul Menard right as Menard catches traffic again.
Yeah, so let's see if which one can play that traffic to advantage. A little hard to time it with these TA cars because they're just so fast in a straight line. And actually traffic was really polite, moved out of their way and didn't interrupt their race. Really heads up move.
Yeah, as your EMCO lap leader, Paul Menard, 21 of 21 laps completed, every single one going to the green number 3 here at this point. But once again, as we say for the second time in so many laps, Chris Dyson starting to close back in here at this point and push his way ahead. Let's see if he's able to get anything to play as they come out now of turn 6 and 7 into the Bennett Bridge Hall S's. This is the area where we've seen Dyson fall back a little bit, the aero wash a little bit, lap traffic a little bit, multiple things coming into play. And once again, just by the eye test, it looks like Menard's starting to pull away.
On top of it, Menard may have accomplished his mission even if Chris catches him, because if I recall, don't they get an extra bonus point for leading the most laps? And if they do, he's already done that, and he got the bonus points for pole. So even if Paul lost the race, he's in a pretty good points position for the season championship by just executing those two things.
As a driver, when you're sitting in the car, how much of that championship math is going through your head?
It really depends on where you're running. If you're in contention for it, for me, it goes through there all the time. Winning the championship is really about executing on your bad days. It's not about catching those wins. It's about making those bad days a 3rd place or a 6th place instead of a 20th. So stuff like that, not taking that risky move, managing your advantages we can get them, grabbing those extra bonus points help a huge amount. So stuff like that plays in your head just a little bit. Now that he's already clinched that, though, he's free to not think about it. He's got the most laps led, got those pole bonus points. So now he has a little bit of safety margin to take some risk.
Well, and take risk he may be able to, but doesn't want to throw it away here at this point. He doesn't want to have any problems with that at this point. But as we ride on board with Tommy Dreese here at this point, Dreese still sits a fair ways back of Adam Andretti. He'll come across the timing and scoring stripe right now. 16 seconds that gap, so it looks like Dreese going the wrong way up to Adam.
And actually, you can see some of the deck here, not just on board with him, but if I recall qualifying, we were seeing, 33, 35-second lap times, and we're seeing 39s and 40s out of the field now. It just shows you how much lap time and how much tire fall off these guys have had to endure.
Yeah, it really and truly does as we watch him come back through. I'm keeping an eye on his hands there on that onboard camera. He looks relatively smooth. He doesn't look like he's fighting it all that much.
He's not fighting it, but he is getting on the power very measured and very smoothly to help protect that rear and really keep it down. It's just going to take longer and longer to put that power down. That throttle time just takes forever as those tires go off.
Certainly does. And this is why you have a driver in the booth. I'm looking at one thing. He's looking at 8 different things here at this point. That's the what it is. But Kaylee Bryson here, 5th place overall, and she continues to run in the top of that SGT category. Once again, looking for that first win on the year. She's been able to grow that gap up to 11 seconds between herself and Joshua Carlson. A very, very good drive for Kaylee. Coming from dirt, coming from paved ovals, making her a mark here in Trans Am, presented by Pirelli. Kaylee Bryson working her way down through the right-left complex on the back half of this circuit, doing an absolutely fantastic job, a measured approach. And you heard her crew chief say a little bit earlier, kind of a Sunday drive here at this point.
Yeah, exactly. She's got a nice, comfortable car. Car's working well. She's comfortable with the track now. She's pulled a decent gap. She's not under much pressure right now, so now's the time where it's just really working on her consistency to develop as she moves through different classes and starts learning this road racing trade.
Well, and as you said earlier, also working on developing the car. They've had a couple of chassis swaps in Sebring, trying to get the right feel for this car, trying to get everything together, and so they can keep working on the car while she's doing this.
Exactly. It's something that makes the Trans Am series so unique. In many of these classes, you can develop and build your own car. A lot of other series, you have to buy a spec car and go from there. Where here, you really can build and develop your own thing. So it's a big undertaking for all these teams and for the drivers. It makes it a real team sport to develop these cars and get them ready.
Yeah, it certainly does, and making sure the driver is ready as well, and the driver is fully up to the task here as they run. And I'll tell you what, Kaylee Bryson certainly up to the task in every way you can imagine it as she works her way down through turns 6 and 7, bringing that car back around. Such a tricky portion of the track because you've got so much lateral load going through the car.
Especially 7, not only all that lateral load, but you have that little strip of concrete through it, and if you have your front tire on that concrete, the car does not want to turn at all. It's really amazing.
Yeah, it certainly is. She's making it look easy, though. Maybe a little bit of that dirt track and background where she's used to dealing with a lot of lack of grip there at that point. Now down through big hop of the curbs there at that point. She's able to get the car steadied back up, down onto the braking here into turn 13 and 14.
And 13's really bumpy.
And as we come back live on MAV TV, you were just saying that turn 13, an incredibly difficult corner to be able to get those brakes applied for.
Well, it's not the brakes right in the center. It's super, super bumpy, unbelievably bumpy. So the car's always fighting you right as you land, right as the car hits maximum load, it starts bouncing and pogoing on you. So really difficult, deceptively difficult corner, even though it's a slow hairpin.
Well, we sound like we've got an interview down in pit lane with the one and only Ben Sissel.
Well, thank you very much. I have a crazy story. I'm here with Tony Gentilozzi, who's talking to Paul Menard with 3GT, but our pit official, Misty Richter, just came and said, tell your driver to look out for an alligator, turn 3 or 4. Not things you normally hear. He's talking to his driver right now, but you don't really hear look out for an alligator out on the track. Tony, what's your driver saying right now? They're throwing everything at you.
Not a lot. He's really busy racing. He's managed his tires well, and we're waiting for the last few laps to really go here.
Nice. And is he just trying to manage that gap with Dyson in the back, or is he feeling really good?
Yes, absolutely. He's feeling great. It's obviously a chess match, as it usually is, so we'll see here in the last 10 laps.
Any reports of an alligator on the track?
None as of yet.
All right, well, there you go. There may or may not be an organic on the track called an alligator. Back up to you, gentlemen.
All right, we are going to keep our eyes open here for this alligator. We take a look from the live drone shots. I don't see any large lizard there at this point, but race fans, rest assured, if we have to go under yellow flag conditions for a gator, it will be the highlight of my career.
I'll tell you what, if I'm Adam Andretti, I'm saying there's an alligator, there's a unicorn, there's all sorts of animals on the track. We need a yellow because I want to go attack.
Yeah, well, one driver who doesn't want to see that yellow come out here at this point, that's Chris Coffey, who leads in the GT class as he has done multiple times this year. Pretty much a 1 minute and 30-second gap there over the number 38 of Colin Cohen. I mean, this is just domination.
It is. He's become a really, really good racing driver, very solid. He really wants some more people to come out here with even more GT cars to add a little more challenge to it because he's ready for some more competition. Colin's doing a good job with his car too. They've got these Maseratis running really well. And again, Chris doing work on both of those cars. He preps both his and Colin's car. A lot of work goes into this program and has one of the best looking wraps out there. And look at that thing go through those S's. He's doing a great job today.
Yeah, you're never going to miss that car. That's one of those ones that comes by, and even if you just see a flash of it, you're going to know immediately which car it is. It is very, very easily distinguishable, I can tell you that. And not only because it's a Maserati, and those are a little bit rare to see every now and again, it's just that livery itself absolutely spectacular.
Exactly. It's so great to see those cars out here, too. You don't get to see very many of them running around anymore. In fact, I think they're the only ones in North America running those cars. I know he has about all the spares that exist for it in North America. So they really put a lot of effort in this program. And great to see these things not just sitting in a collection somewhere, but out there being used. And I know it's one of Colin's missions, too, is getting these cars out there and use these Ferraris and Maseratis. They're really passionate about their Italian sports cars at Norwood.
Well, and I've got to agree with exactly what you said there. These are cars. They are not, or they are pieces of art, let's be real, but they are art that is meant to be used. And seeing them on the track, that just makes you happy. But we've got to focus on what's happening on the track right there. As we take a look a little farther back in the field, we've got a little bit of a battle starting to take place. This was the fight that we saw earlier for the final podium position between McMillan and Grant, but it looks like that Porsche's got a little bit of fight to it.
Yeah, and those Porsches are good on their tires. Maybe he was just taking care of his stuff, and now he's back up there to challenge.
Yeah, certainly is, and a very wildly different concept of designs. One of the reasons I love GT racing so much, you're dealing with a front-engine, rear-wheel drive Corvette and a rear-engine, rear-wheel drive Porsche 991. Ultimately, wildly different handling cars and different characteristics, but they're racing on the track and they're within a second of each other.
Exactly, and I can tell you what, that Porsche does have some advantages. While it can wear its tires, when you get your hands straight, it puts the power down better than you can make the Corvette put its power down because all that rear weight. Just a little tricky mid-corner with that rear engine, but really good putting the power down, and you might be seeing it as the tires go off and as this race goes on.
Yeah, just able to get more grip delivered down and really push into the track. That's exactly what it is coming to here at this point. About 4.5 tenths of a second, the gap between the two as they work their way around right now. Whoa, little bit of a poke and a prod maybe coming down through the S's, but we've got another battle on our hands as there it is. That is Dyson ahead of Paul Menard.
Yeah, this is what we were kind of expecting. It looked like his setup was really here to take advantage of that tire wear, and we've reached that point in the race where Chris probably said, okay, it's time to pull the trigger. Paul's suffering a little bit. I've got the car to do it. I'm going. Hopefully we can see how they got by each other, but this is a little bit what I was expecting when you saw those cars roll out.
A little bit of a wide run there in your shot for Chris Coffey as he tried to work his way around some lap traffic. But yeah, Dyson able to make it run. Now they're going to come up against Kaylee Bryson here, and normally I would say this could be advantage back to Paul Menard, but this is the last thing he wants to see because that is going to be Bryson giving Dyson the tow down the main straight.
Exactly. Right now, if you're Paul Menard, you're probably just hoping for yellow. You're also calling in alligators, lizards, anything you can find, a Komodo dragon out there so you can cool those tires off and then go re-attack Chris. Because I think if it stays green, the advantage now goes to Dyson.
Well, and there we've got our first change in the MCO lap leaders. You saw it there as we have one lap led in the books for Chris Dyson, the rest belonging to Paul Menard. The question here at this point is Dyson going to be able to streak away with it? On the last lap, he was about 0.8 of a second a lap faster than Menard. So this could be code go if you are the number 16 of Chris Dyson.
Yeah, and now if you're Paul, you can't hold back either. You can't take care of the tires. You just got to go. You can't let that car get away. So you're going to try for those few desperate laps to hang on, slide the car around, do what you have to do, or hope Chris gets caught in traffic just like that.
Well, and this is that battle we were watching. This is a battle on track in front of him between McMillan and Grant. There comes Menard all over the back of that Jim Weed Ford Mustang as they come down through the Bennett Bridge Hall S's. It's not going to be quite enough there for Menard to be able to get that to play as they go working their way on through. Now down through turns 11 and 12, lining up into that tricky braking zone for turn 13. Doesn't look like Menard has got it to play here at this point, but a wider line going to be able to maybe get him an advantage. Let's see if he's able to get anything to go as they come out of Mission Foods turn 16.
There's a little fall over.
As we watch him come onto the main straightaway here at this point, Dyson's starting to pull away, 0.6 of a second the gap.
We're right there. He's still able to hang on. He's really clinging on. You've got to be driving as hard as you can now. You're probably going to start to see that Paul Menard car taking a few wiggles as he tries to keep Dyson within range and keep up the pressure.
Yeah, he's going to try to keep him in pressure here at this point. And we still have 8 laps to go in this race, so it's not out of the realm of possibility that we could see something happen here. Maybe a yellow flag, maybe a mistake here from Dyson. There are plenty of probabilities to go.
Exactly. It could even be as simple as catching lap traffic, as we saw last time. That almost swapped the lead again. So he's just hoping catch traffic. Chris makes a mistake. You find an alligator on the track. Anything you can to close that gap.
I don't know if you can tell this, folks, but we're kind of excited about the alligator here. This is one of the more interesting things that I've ever had happen to me in racing. So we're going to keep looking here at this point, though, as Paul Menard closes back in, or at least tries to. But now he's going to get the same treatment that Dyson gave him. Dirty air coming through the Bennett Bridge Hall S's.
Exactly. That dirty air is even worse once your tires are used up. So it's going to be really tough for Paul to fight through that.
Yeah, it certainly is. Getting onto the binders there is Menard. I noticed that car bounding a little bit more, I think is the word to use.
Yeah, and as the tires wear, actually, tires get stiffer. Oh, we have someone smoking. Adam Andretti, maybe?
I think it is. Yes, it is. That is Adam Andretti, and smoke coming out the front of that car. He is immediately going to be pulling off into the grass rather quickly. He is definitely... And he is going to be jumping out of that car very, very quickly. Yep, there he goes. Andretti hopping on out of the car here at this point, as we are going to more than likely have a yellow. And welcome back to MAV TV. We have a yellow flag out on track. Yellow flag out on track with just a handful of laps to go. This yellow flag is brought to you because of Adam Andretti's smoke on the circuit. He is now going to be bringing it out onto the track here at this point. And red flag being displayed. Red flag being displayed out on the circuit. No, it's yellow. Excuse me. That was our monitors that were being a little bit strange. Trying to figure out exactly what is happening here on the circuit. We've got multiple lights going on, but certainly a little bit of a situation there as Andretti tries to put out what's ever happened to the car.
Yeah, that was a confusing situation with the flags there. I think our flags showed yellow and our flag board showed red. So drivers doing what they're supposed to do and coming to a stop for the red flag. And I can tell you one person who might be happy at this. Now that we know Adam's okay, Paul Menard might be happy to see this because tires will be cooling off.
Yes, they will. And let's be clear here, because for fans of other forms of motorsport, when a red flag is displayed in the Trans Am presented by Pirelli Field, that means all cars on track must come to an immediate halt. That is why you see cars stopped on track. A black flag displayed means come on into pit lane. So that red flag being displayed means all cars come to a halt, and that is why you are seeing that out on the circuit here at this point. So cars at a halt as safety vehicles make their way out onto the circuit right now. We're hearing that was displayed because there was a fire within the machine itself, but in that number 17, so they threw the red flag out of precaution to be able to get the safety vehicles to that number 17 as quickly as possible. There we take a live look at the Burton Racing crew as well as Adam's wife down in pit lane. Obviously a heartbreaking situation here for them.
Yeah, no one wants to go through that. Shows you the highs and lows of motorsport. Last race, top of the box. This race on fire, sitting in the grass. So, we know it can come back to them. They'll have a better day another day. But glad to see Adam out of the car right away. Not only out of the car, but helping with the firefighting effort himself.
Yeah, exactly. And that's not uncommon to see because we have to remember here that for a lot of these drivers, they're heavily invested in their machines. It's not like they've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 spares holed up in the back. This is a bespoke entry here for Adam Andretti. He wants to take care of that thing.
And not only that, even if you do have a spare, the crew guys always appreciate you to take care of their stuff. You want to bring them back a car that's straight in shape and ready to go. And put the fire out as quick as you can to make sure it just minimizes the damage, because going through the car after a fire with all the wiring harnesses and all the other stuff in it really, really is a mess. But Adam's out okay. It's not smoking anymore, so I think they're going to be in okay shape.
Yeah, it looks like it there, and there was some definite smoke coming out of it there at that point, so that was a very, very rough situation for him. And as we said, we are very, very lucky that we were able to do that. But we are ready to head down to pit lane once more with Ben Sissel.
Yeah, thanks, gentlemen. I'm here with Tabitha Andretti, and, man, bad luck. We don't know what happened. I was up on the starter tower. He switched to gear, and then all of a sudden smoke, and then I hear fire. Have you heard anything from the driver?
We've heard a little bit. So he said there was a puff of smoke inside the car about 2 laps before this happened, and then all of a sudden he said the motor's laying down on us. We looked, there was a big puff of smoke around the start-finish line, and it just kept smoking. Then he came over and said he's on fire. So obviously we kind of panicked, but we know we have a great group of people here at this track that take care of him, and we've seen him get out of the car, so he's good to go. So now we just want to know what happened.
Exactly, yeah, because you guys are developing this car. It is a very new car. I'm with Claudio Burton here behind the car, and the car was running so strong. You win last race at Road Atlanta, and I know you're still in the development phase, but what are you guys learning here at NOLA?
Well, it was our first time here, so a lot, all day long, and every session we got faster. We don't really know what happened to the car right now. Adam radioed in, there was a little bit of smoke, so he advised us that something was awry, and then it let go, so we don't really know right now.
Driver's okay?
Yeah. We saw he's been in contact with the crew, and the corner workers seem to have been able to handle it, so he's fine.
Well, that's Claudio Burton. Gentlemen, back up to you in the booth.
Well, thank you, Ben, and thank you to that whole Burton Racing team. We're very, very happy that everything is okay with them. As we come back here with live pictures from NOLA Motorsports Park, you can see Adam Andretti's car holding things out. They're going to take that away, but we are going to take a quick break here at this point. We'll be back when racing action resumes.
Okay, so pretend this is your race car. It's on the trailer, and you have an accident. Ouch! At least your truck's insurance will pay for another one? Yeah, not so fast. Standard insurance won't replace your race car, whether it's in the trailer, in the paddock, in the garage, or the repair shop. But at Hagerty, we can protect it for what it's really worth anytime it's off the track. No matter what or where you race, offer less than a set of race tires. Hagerty, let's drive together.
The NOLA SpeedTour returns to Sonoma Raceway April 19th through the 21st, featuring the Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli Western Championship, the Sports Car Vintage Racing Association, Historic Trans Am, the Toyo Tire 2.5 Challenge, PSSA, International GT, and Saturday you can take part in the Hagerty Cars and Caffeine Car Show. You do not want to miss the Sonoma SpeedTour April 19th through the 21st. For tickets, simply go to speedtour.net.
Welcome back, MAV TV viewers. As there you see the remains of Adam Andretti's number 17 Chevrolet Camaro as smoke and fire was reported from underneath the hood of that number 17 machine, and now it is being towed back down into pit lane. The reason for our most recent yellow flag, the second one of the day. The first was as a result of Amy Ruman and a clutch problem that saw her come to a rest just outside of the pits. Looks like here at this point that most of the field has been able to refire and get themselves back together. But the biggest problem, well, that's going to be for Chris Dyson and Paul Menard, because what looked like it was going to be playing into Chris Dyson's hands now maybe back into the wheelhouse of the number 3.
Yeah, the last thing you want behind you on a restart in a stock car is a guy who has a bunch of NASCAR Cup experience with cooler tires. And this red is even better for him because they got to sit and not just orbit. So those tires will be nice and cool. He may be able to take the fight to Chris. We should be in first show if we go back green.
Yeah, as you saw your MCO lap leaders there, it is Menard with 27 laps and Dyson with only 4 here at this point. But the only lap that matters is that lap at the end. And who is going to lead when we get to that point? That is the big question. We ride on board with Tommy Dreese. Now, normally I would say this is a great opportunity for Tommy Dreese to be able to move his way forward. He'll be able to inherit a podium position here without question, but he's got lap cars in between himself and Menard and Dyson, so that's going to make things a little bit more difficult.
Especially with our restart rules here in Trans Am, you're not allowed to pass until you reach that start-finish line. You're not even allowed to duck out of line, so when you're stuck behind some of those other classes, that can really mess you up. But they may be doing some reordering because we had a red flag, so the vehicle might be a little bit out of order now, so we'll see if they're going to rejigger that or not.
Well, if they do, that can only be a boon here to Tommy Dreese. And even though this may not be the best result for him on the day, third place is still valuable points in that championship. And you said it yourself earlier, championships are made on your worst days.
Exactly, and sometimes just being there is enough. Like, you have to be in contention. You have to be there. You have to finish in order to get those points. While it's really sad to see what happened to Adam, it's great to see he's okay and out of the car. He got to have his win, but this day will really help someone out like Tommy Dreese, getting those points, being consistent, keeping it on the road.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what needs to happen here if Dreese is able to capitalize and wants to be able to capitalize. He does have Chris Coffey in front of him that he's going to have to deal with, as it does look like that Maserati is going to be the first car up the road if we don't have a reordering of machines. That is the question here at this point. Laps continuing to tick away right now because we are running under safety car conditions, so it's not like a dirt race. These laps will count. Looks like, I just saw it at the corner of my screen there, that was the 55 of Milton Grant coming down into pit lane in that Porsche 991.
It is. I wonder if that's part of a reorder or if he's just checking something, because he was in a pretty pitched battle before we had this red flag with the Corvette of McMillan, right? So hopefully everything will get sorted for them and he'll be out there and be able to battle again.
Yeah, and as you can see there on your screen, it looks like we've got some bad news for fans of, I believe, that is a couple of the cars here at this point, I think, McMillan actually headed down off of the road because it looks like he's got some problems here at this point, and he is going to be towed out. It looks like that car just never restarted after the race.
Yeah, these things are not endurance cars. They're not made to stop and restart. It's really stressful on these cars. It's not like your car at Le Mans that's made to be shut down. Once they're hot and they're heat soaked and they're sitting still and they don't get that cooling airflow, they really struggle to restart sometimes.
Yeah, and it looks like that's exactly what it is. I can tell you that that's number 51 Chevrolet Corvette does look like it has been taken down pit lane here at this point. Or not pit lane, it's been taken onto one of the access roads here at this point. So looks like that car is going to be cleared. The question's going to be is when the lights go out on our safety car here at this point. As I've just been given word that we are coming back to green this time by.
All right, here we go. This is where it's going to be really important to get those tires nice and cleaned off. You're probably going to see some swerving. Try to get all that junk that you picked up from when you stopped off the line off. so you can get ready and go do battle. Should be a good little show here.
Yeah, it certainly should be. We're going to have, I believe, 5 laps to decide this. It looks like it's going to be a 5-lap shootout as we will restart here on lap 33, if everything is to be believed, as indeed I just saw the lights officially go off on the Ginetta safety car. Thanks again to Ginetta for providing that for us for our Speed Tour weekends over the course of the year. An absolutely stellar pace car and pretty one of a kind, I've got to say. But here right now as Chris Dyson leads the field around. Now, this is going to be the first time we've seen Dyson take the restart. It's been Paul Menard pacing the field here at this point, but Dyson has always looked good off of those restart conditions.
He really has. We know his car is set up for straight line traction. You can see how it reacts and how much it pitches up. But Paul's got those nice, cool tires now, just like Chris. Really helps the tire wear. Let's see if he has any tire left to give Chris a fight.
All right, let's see indeed a little bit of action in front of Tommy Dreese. As you said, though, not allowed to make that pass until they come across the start-finish stripe. Hold up in front from Chris Dyson. He's slowing the field down until he sees the green flag. As here they go on to the main straightaway, getting ready to take the green. There it goes. We are back racing once more, and it looks like here that immediately popping out of line is going to be Tommy Dreese. He's going to be able to pass Kaylee Bryson and Chris Coffey, immediately insert himself back up into the battle for the top spot in TA. They run 1, 2, 3.
And you got to see Chris Dyson going ahead and protecting that line, which will give Paul a better exit. So we should be all over him heading into 3, which is actually a really good passing zone.
Yeah, it very well is. And now Menard going to be trying to look a little bit of a wider line coming down into the corner. Looks down to the inside, gets about a half nose in there, but Dyson covers it off well. He's going to be able to keep it about 0.2 of a second, the gap in between the two. Little bit of alternate lines there being taken between Dyson and Menard as they try to get themselves back, and now they push themselves ahead. Here they come through 6 and 7. We ride on board with Tommy Dreese in 3rd.
He has the best seat in the house right now. As you saw Paul Menard exiting those corners, he was putting a lot of counter steering in. He is driving the wheels off that thing right now, trying to get Chris while he's close.
Yeah, he is really trying to push here at this point. He doesn't want to let Dyson skip off into the distance. It's now 3.5 laps to go pretty much as they cross over. Remember when I said earlier, never trust a commentator's math. Here is now Menard closing in on the back of Dyson. The gap only about 2 car lengths. Will he have a risky run down into turn 13? He thought about it, but he's going to stay in line here as they come through the back half of the circuit.
And down the straightaway, we've noticed Paul's been really good. That car seems to suck up in the draft a little bit better than Chris's did when he was behind him. You can also get that because his nose is lower. That nose picking up in the front, and Dyson, it's giving him that better tire wear. It also hurts your straight line speed a little bit. So this might help Paul get a little bit closer down the straightaway.
Well, we'll have to see here as they cross over the stripe. The gap was 0.5 of a second. Dreese falling off big time. He is about 2.8 seconds behind. As there we take a look at your MCO lap leaders. Chris Dyson, 7 laps. Paul Menard, 27. But as we said, it's nice to lead 27 laps. It gets you bonus point, but you get the full points if you lead the last one.
Let's see. Let's really watch those front tires of Paul. Paul's getting there. Let's see if he has a wiggle. Actually, really good exit. He is there.
Yeah, he is there. You saw that. Look, you said turn 3, maybe a little bit of an overtaking opportunity. Well, Paul may have heard you. A little bit of counter steer, though, coming out of turn 5. That could slow him down a little bit. Later on the brakes, though, coming into turn 6, that's a little bit surprising to me.
Yeah, it was also, he might be 2-footing. You can use both pedals at the same time to balance the car, so you might just be seeing a different driving style. Unfortunately, I don't have a foot cam on the 2, so don't quite know. A little bit of wheels off for Paul. He's trying really hard.
Yeah, it is very, very clear that Paul wants this win. Let's see how he's able to keep up through the Bennett Bridge Hall S's here at this point. He's going to keep close behind, call the gap about 4 car lengths. I'm really amazed here. At the end of those S's, I would have thought the aero wake would have been the worst, but he actually closes up coming down through 11 and 12.
If you notice, he always has the headlight area of his car to the inside of the Dyson car, and that helps minimize the aero wake. It's still there, but it makes it a lot better. And you can see he got really close to the bumper there. Not quite a good exit, but he'll probably suck up in the toe down this front straightaway. And we see he's really good through 1 and 2, so we might see some pressure into turn 3. once we get there.
All right, let's keep our eye on this here at this point. Kaylee Bryson continues to lead in SGT and Chris Coffey in PNGT, but this is the battle to watch right now. It is Chris Dyson and Paul Menard. Dyson in that white and pink machine, Menard in the black and green machine. Let's see if he's got anything coming down into turn 3. Not quite as close as he was on the last lap, but a wide exit off at the corner there for Chris Dyson. That must have been a little bit inviting for Paul Menard as they come down into turn 4. It certainly was, but Dyson shuts the door.
It's going to be really close. This is a hard position that Dyson's in, protecting with just a couple laps to go. Tires are done. You're done. I don't care if his tires are better. This is the hardest part of the race, of being under this much pressure with this little to go.
Yeah, he is pushing here at this point. Both drivers are pushing. We saw Paul Menard get 2 wheels off into the dirt there on the exit of turn 7 last time. Almost does it this time. Maybe just a little bit of dirt kicked up. Let's see how he does through the Bennett Bridge Hall S's. He's going to be pushing here at this point. This is closer than he was on the last lap. Doing exactly what you were talking about earlier, just that headlight to the inside. Are we going to see a move down into 13? No, but he's going to keep the pressure on.
And he made Dyson defend a little bit, which will suck him all the way to that bumper. Now he really has to focus on trying to get a run out of that last corner. Don't look at Dyson, just try to get your run. You want to not look at your competitor, just drive your line and see if you can put that power down.
All right, here he goes. That's the closest he's been. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go from NOLA Motorsports Park. The gap, 0.4 of a second. Here comes Paul Menard as they push their way down. I don't think he's quite close enough to have the run into turn 1. No, he's not, but we've seen him be strong into 3. Can he get the move done there?
Yeah, I think it's going to be 3 or 13 where you're going to see this happen if he can get it done.
All right, let's see here at this point through the fast sweeper of turn 2, down into turn 3. Menard stays behind. He's close, though, almost giving him the bumper there at that point as they come down through turn 3. The long left-hander now into turn 4. Dyson closing the door as much as possible. He knew that Menard was close there on the last time of asking. They get the power down through 5 and 6 here at this point. Starting to push down here as they go. Only about a car length the gap. This is going to be very, very tight as they come out of turn 7.
Yeah, it's done. No one's holding anything back now. Time to just hold on and drive it as hard as you can. Let's see if you can stay close enough to the S's to send one last lap pass.
He lost time. He lost time there through 6 and 7. That gap is now about 5 car lengths as they come down through the Bennett Bridge Hall S's. I don't think he's going to be able to close this unless he finds an absolute turbo of a run here at this point. Diving down, getting ready to dive down into turn 13. Dyson goes defensive. That's not going to be quite enough. Menard starts to close up. We've seen him be good through the last couple of corners on this circuit before, but here he comes down through turn 15. Getting ready to take Mission Foods turn 16. Has Dyson done enough? It looks like he has. He puts the power down. Checkered flag is in the air. And for the first time this season, it's Chris Dyson on the top step of the podium.
What a great race we got at the end there. Great battle between 2 different setup philosophies, and it came down to a straight-up fight right at a little shootout at the end of the race. Great race.
Absolutely fantastic, and I love what I saw there between the two. You saw the thumbs up going in between the two. Great sportsmanship, and look at this. The battle for the lead of the GT categories in different GT categories. Kaylee Bryson in SGT, Chris Coffey in GT coming to the line here at this point. Coffey for going for 3 on the trot. Bryson going for her first of the season, and it looks like it's going to be a picture-perfect story for both of them. It's Bryson. It's Coffey.
That definitely has to be your brightest finish of the day.
Yeah, it certainly does. That bright yellow and the pink off the hood there at that point, you really can't miss those cars.
Great job by both of them to bring home the class wins today. Really stellar drives by both.
Very, very much so. And stellar drive here from Tommy Dreese. Not taking off more than he can chew. Definitely just keeping things together. And he's going to be walking away with a podium when everything's said and done.
Exactly. You have to be happy with that. Crew's going to be happy with that. They're going to take the lessons here and move on, learn from what they learned, and get ready for the next track where they'll hopefully be able to challenge both Chris and Paul Menard.
Yeah, and just keep building that notebook. Keep putting those things together to keep going along. But there, as we take a final look at your MCO lap leaders, Paul Menard led 27 laps. Chris Dyson was your leader of 10 laps and your victor here today from NOLA Motorsports Park. Paul Menard second, Tommy Dreese third. Kaylee Bryson was able to take that victory in the SGT category, and Chris Coffey once again taking victory in GT in his Maserati. Fantastic driving all the way around for each and every one of these drivers as we watch them come back in right now. Tommy Dreese still being a little bit aggressive there coming over the curbs. He took a pretty big hop, skip, and a jump coming over, but looks like Chris Dyson here taking his victory lap quite well.
If you look up aggression in the thesaurus, you'll see Tommy Dreese listed right next to it as a synonym for aggression. That dude is aggressive. Great racing driver.
Oh, he certainly is. And right now he is waiting for his first victory of the season. It's been 3 races. It's been 3 winners in the TA class presented by Pirelli. You really can't ask for a better run of championship than that.
Exactly. You don't see that anywhere. It's great to have different people on the podium, different cars, different teams, new cars. Really good start to the season.
Yeah, it's an absolutely fantastic start to the season. Exactly what we want to see here at this point, as Dreese will be able to go down into pit lane and down into Jim Weed victory lane and victory circle. He'll be able to go down and get those podium celebrations. Also will Kaylee Bryson, also will Chris Coffey. Going to be very, very happy drivers, I think, down in Jim Weed's winner circle.
Always nice to drive the Jim Weed car into the Jim Weed winner circle, too. So probably a little extra special for Chris Dyson.
Yeah, it certainly is, and especially after 2 heartbreaking rounds. I mean, a DNF in Sebring, and then a mistake in Road Atlanta that arguably cost him victory. To be able to come back here and get back into his winning ways is certainly a good way to bring his way forward. It's going to raise him up in the championship a little bit, and he's going to be feeling pretty good about that. It's also got one of my favorite helmet designs, I have to say. I love the simplicity of that.
Yeah, pretty classic. That the whole team's always had nice classic designs. Even all the drivers have had through there.
As here he comes on out. Chris Dyson, your victor here from NOLA Motorsports Park, getting a hug down in Jim Weed victory lane from everybody around him. He is absolutely fantastically happy, I would have to imagine. We'll get an interview with him here in just a few moments' time, as in fact, that time is going to be now as we go down to Ben Sissel.
Well, thank you so much. I'm here at Jim Weed Winner's Circle as we see Paul Menard come in, congratulate Chris. Hold on, Paul, stay here, because I've been watching you two, and you seem like you...
I didn't win.
Yeah, I know, but you guys really enjoy racing with each other, and that was by a car length. So, you know how I like the awkwardness. Let's talk to both of you. So, man, you're chasing him for a little bit more than half of the race, and then it flip-flopped. What a race.
Yeah, I mean, unbelievable. Great race the whole way. I mean, Paul and I have run together in the past, but never for that long, and I think it was just phenomenal racing. I was able to get him in traffic there, and I think it was pretty evenly matched the whole way. It's a lot about track position here, but I'm so pumped up to have the Jim Weed car back in victory lane. So happy for the guys. We've worked hard for this. It's great to be back on the top step. So proud of everybody.
And Paul,
I got to say hi to the kids. Hi, guys.
I love it. And then, Paul, I know you wanted to win this race, but that had to be a really fun second place.
It was fun. You know, we had good speed all weekend, and you know, I've done 3 races with GT3 racing with Paul and Tony and all the boys, and we've been fast every weekend. We knew our Achilles heel is just kind of longevity, just keeping the tires on the car, and I felt like we made some gains from Sebring to here. We didn't have it play out at Atlanta, but I feel like we made gains. That caution helped us just cool the tires down so I could go after them again, but. Yeah, like Chris said, we were evenly matched, and it was whoever was out front was going to stay there until traffic came.
And by about a car length, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, I was better than him through the S's. He was better than me on launch off onto the main straight. My brakes were fading, so he's a little bit better than me in the braking zones, and I'd catch him through some of the slow rollers. So we each had our strengths and disadvantages, and it was kind of equalized.
So I got to put you on the spot. Will we see the Master Force Tools Ford Mustang at Lime Rock next?
We will. I've never seen that. Most of these tracks I've never been to. Lime Rock, Mid-Ohio, Watkins Glen with the boot. So I'm going to be learning. I'm going to be burning up the iRacing simulator here in the next couple weeks. But, yeah, we'll be at Lime Rock and excited for it.
Nice. I love it. Well, Paul Menard, second place in 3GT. But, ladies and gentlemen, if you were paying attention, I think we called it at the fan walk and said this is going to be Kaylee Bryson's first win. And here we are, your first win. And, wow, that was phenomenal.
Yeah, that was so much fun. You know, I kept waiting and waiting. I'm like, when's the checker going to come? I was really wanting that win. But, yeah, the guys gave me a great car. You know, this LSI Corvette was on rails tonight, and excited to go get many more in the future.
Nice. Well, congratulations, LSI, Sam Pierce Chevrolet, Kaylee Bryson from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. But then let's talk to the Perella Motorsports Holdings owner, Tony Perella. And, Tony, I know you've got somebody that you really want to thank.
I need to recognize this guy. 30-plus years of running Trans Am. He brought it, it was dead. He brought it back from the dead and has put his heart and soul into this race series. If it wasn't for John Claggett, there would be no Trans Am. And it's important. This weekend, he's moving from doing this every weekend to an advisor role. But it would be wrong if we didn't acknowledge him on this broadcast to say thank you. So
I appreciate the opportunity you gave me. Thank you.
I love it. John, thank you so much. Huge mentor to me. And if you don't mind, let's go talk to Chris Coffey with the GT winner over here with Norwood Auto Italia. I think it was a 1-2, right, with the Norwood Auto Italia. So Chris Coffey running for the championship. I believe Colin running for the Pro-Am championship. This has got to feel pretty good.
Yeah, it was awesome. This track is awesome. It's really good opportunities for actually racing, good passing zones, all that kind of stuff. Me and Colin are both running full seasons. We're doing he's doing the Pick 6 and I'm doing the national championship, and so this is a great points weekend.
Nice. And then at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta, Colin, you had a big off, and, you know, I know it was just a couple weeks till we were here. Seems like your crew really worked their butts off to get you back out here.
Crew. Chris worked his butt off to get me back here. Took him basically 3 days to put it back together again, and what a great job. It was a fun race, fun weekend, and I learned a lot.
Nice. I love it. Well, Colin Cohen, thank you so much. And, gentlemen, I'm going to send it back up to you in the booth.
Well, thank you so much, Ben. Love being able to talk to everybody as they get themselves ready for what will be a fantastic podium there at that point. We get ready to be able to take a look here, though, at the GT and SGT results here as they go. This is your highlights coming on in here at this point. Good battles farther back in the field as Chris Coffey had to be able to try to make his way by the 36 here at this point. Side-by-side action as we saw a good battle there between that was McMillan and the 55, but it was Kaylee Bryson and Chris Coffey that absolutely dominated the field here at this point. That battle between the 55, though, the Porsche and the Chevrolet trying to duke themselves out. McMillan and Grant going back and forth and back and forth. Off of the restart, they were able to get their way ahead, and we got a near photo finish between our two GT and SGT victors there. Picture perfect as it is. It doesn't get much better than that for those two winners.
No, they had a great day, and then here's our provisional classification for right now, how we finished. See Chris Dyson taking the win home over Paul Menard there, and a great fight at the end. The end of that race was fantastic.
Yeah, it really and truly was Tommy Dreese in third, and then the rest of that SGT and GT field. You can see there Bryson Coffey, Grant Cohen, Andretti, Carlson, McMillan all having some rough runs out there today, as did Amy Ruman and Richard Forsyth, both of whom had some particularly rough runs there at that point. But an absolutely fantastic race. But let's go ahead and take a look back at the TA race recap here at this point, because it was a great battle from start to finish between Chris Dyson and Paul Menard. Amy Ruman had some early troubles that saw her go off early, and it was clutch problems that we later found out. Off of the restart, though, Chris Dyson was in the hunt looking this way and that way, but Paul Menard was able to pace the field and keep his way ahead. Despite some looks from Dyson, Menard kept his cool and kept everything together. That was until Adam Andretti had an unexplained issue that set fire to the car and brought him off down through turn 6 and 7. Off of the restart, it was Chris Dyson who was able to take control of the race and take the lead away from Paul Menard. Menard tried to fight the best he could, but he just wasn't quite able to seal the deal. It was Chris Dyson taking victory. As we take another live look there at Jim Weed Winner's Circle, absolutely fantastic. And we are now ready to go down there with Ben Sissel.
All right, NOLA, let's get loud. Come on now. The Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli. As I shouted, John Claggett's here. Come on, NOLA, keep it going, keep it going. That was quite a show in all the classes, and you just saw some history today here at NOLA Motorsports Park with the Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli. We are going to start in the GT class. Two drivers from just right over the border in Texas, Norwood Auto Italia, the two Maseratis. So in second place, let's hear it, the number 38, Colin Cohen. Ladies and gentlemen, get loud. And in first place, his teammate, let's hear it, Chris Coffey. Coming from the Lone Star State. And we've got some beautiful music behind us with our SVRA Group 6, Group 8, Group 10. Colin Cohen, you know, we were talking about a little bit, had a bat off in Atlanta. I didn't expect to see you here, and your crew worked overnights and got you back.
Yeah, it was hard work, and it's always great when that pays off with the ability to finish a race and have the fun that we have this weekend. So my thanks to Chris and to the NOLA team for making this possible, and to Jason Hart for his always clear illumination of what you shouldn't do as much as what you should do. So thanks very much.
Nice. Colin Cohen, ladies and gentlemen, and these Maseratis. Any Maserati fans out there? And then Coffee, man, nice job again, back up on the podium here with us in Trans Am. That's got to feel good.
Oh, yeah. It's always great to be standing up here at the top step. I just want to thank Colin, because without here, I couldn't be here. So I absolutely had to make sure his car was ready from Road Atlanta. So it was a lot of work. Only had 3 days to get it done, but we did get it done. We got here. I want to thank Alex and Xavier, my crew, and my wife, Morgan, and my son, Sam.
Nice. I love it. Come on now. Get loud, New Orleans. Colin Cohen, Chris Coffey, NOLA Motorsports Park always provides some fantastic racing, some great weather. Hold on now, we got to do the hat dance, right, Michelle? Chris, you good? Okay. All right, now, NOLA, come on now. Let's pretend we're at one of these NOLA music festivals and get super loud here. Colin Cohen, Chris Coffey. Oh, there we go. Colin's got it. All right, come on now. Chris Coffey, Colin Cohen, Norwood Auto Italia Maseratis from the Dallas, Texas area. Nice job, gentlemen. Be nice. Oh. He's saying, be nice. Let's see what happens. Watch out. They're talking about it. He's like, yeah, let's just drink it. There we go. Nice. See, that's the way you do it. When you're teammates, you don't really go for the eyes like that. Nice job, Colin Cohen, Chris Coffey. Hopefully we will see you two at Lime Rock Park for the Lime Rock Speed Tour Memorial Day Classic. Super GT, SGT. This was a crazy one, and like I said, some history made here. Doing really well until that red flag, and this sometimes happens with race cars. I don't think he could get it restarted, but in third place, let's hear it, Joshua Carlson. Ladies and gentlemen, SGT doing really well in points this season. First place, Masters SGT. Second place, SGT. Let's hear it. Milton Grant from Memphis, Tennessee. Now, New Orleans, I need a warm welcome because her first win in the Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli, SGT, Kaylee Bryson. How about that? A little witness to history. Josh, doing really well out there, and then, you know, just that, I'm sure you shut off your car during the red flag and it just couldn't fire up. What happened?
Yeah, after the first yellow, car started to misfire for us to race, so just had to short shift it. But then when that red flag came out, shut off the car, and it just didn't want to start back up. But I'm still happy to be on the podium, and I want to thank my parents, my team, all my sponsors, and SIVA, Dirks LTD, 9 Round, All Test, ECC Motorsports for all the support. This podium would have been possible without them. And congrats to KOE on her first win. I bet that feels pretty good. And thank you, Milton, for letting me park under your tent and keep my car cool all weekend. And yeah, have fun this weekend.
Nice. I love it. Joshua Carlson talking to his friends here. Milton on the podium with us in Atlanta again here at NOLA. That's got to feel really good.
Yeah, it does. Of course, Porsches are very reliable. And, of course, as always, I'd like to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, for this beautiful day and this great event that we've had. And another thing I'd like to say is I want to thank John Claggett. He said this is the last time he was going to hand me a trophy. And I think we all ought to applaud what he's done to make this series what it is. You know. And other than that, I just want to thanks, my Mike Hoover, my crew chief. I can't say it enough. I hadn't said it enough, I should say, but he does a great job, reliable car, and that keeps me at the end and helps me get here. So thank y'all.
Nice. And man, for a while you had a great race with McMillan. Kaylee Bryson, Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, first time on the top step. Take the mic. This has got to feel good.
Yeah, this is my first time on the podium. I'm glad to get first today for my team. They've worked so hard, and, there's a whole army that goes into this and making this possible, and I'm so grateful for them. The car was on rails all weekend, and I'm super happy to come out here and get first and thankful that everybody drives clean, and it was a really fun time out there. Thank you, guys.
Nice. I love it. What do you think about that? The LSI Sam Pierce Chevrolet Corvette. NOLA, are you happy to be here witnessing some history? Come on now. I love it. I like this crowd, NOLA. Keep it up. All right, get loud. Come on now. Josh Carlson, Milton Grant, Kaylee Bryson, Super GT. There we go. That's the way you do it. Man, this is a good crowd. All right, Kaylee, you old enough for one of those? All right, we checked, yeah. Let's see what happens here. Oh, Milton's just going right for the staff. I love it. Come on, New Orleans, get loud. Josh Carlson, Milton Grant, Kaylee Bryson. Awesome. Aaron Pierce, Sam Pierce team, congratulations. Nice job. I know that's a lot of hard work. Congratulations to you guys. All right, TA, the bread and butter of Trans Am. 900-ish horsepower behemoth go-karts without any driver assist. This is a really tough racing, and we had a great race today. In third place, the number 8. Let's hear it. Showtime Motorsports, Lucas Oil. Let's hear it for Tommy Dreesy, who's talking to Paul Menard. Not to talk out of school, but I heard a rumor under that red flag Tommy Dreesy was going to try the undercut by coming into pit lane, changing tires, and then going back out, but they missed the exit. Is that true?
No, I didn't miss the exit. They just called me in. I was just there, but it was an iffy thing. These guys were running 37s. I could pace Andretti. And no, these guys were the class of the field today. So, and then I don't think they would have rearranged the whole thing being right behind them. I had probably 7 cars to pass. So we did the right thing. We're here. Thank goodness.
Nice. I love it. On the podium, Tommy Dreesy. All right, this by a car length, I think, and unbelievable. He is our MCO lap leader. But in second place, that beautiful 3GT Masterforce Tools Ford Mustang. Ladies and gentlemen, the legend, Paul Menard. And then our reigning champion, the one to beat in Trans Am in this beautiful Jim Weed Ford Mustang here at Jim Weed Winner's Circle. Let's hear it, Chris Dyson. You got your phone? Oh, yeah. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, before we even get going, Tommy Dreesy has this thing, if you follow him on social media, that he takes a Tommy Dreesy selfie. So he likes to get in there. So let's hear it for the Tommy Dreesy selfie. You need to check him out on social media. Kid friendly, he says. I love it. I love it. Yeah, come on, John Claggett, get in there. John Claggett's last selfie. I love it. There we go. See, New Orleans, you're seeing all kinds of history here. All right, Dreesy, this has got to feel good. We haven't spent much time on the podium this season, but it starts today, doesn't it?
It sure does. I just got to thank the crew. The guys and girls on the crew, they work so hard. I gave them a little more work than they really wanted to do yesterday or a day before yesterday. Maybe it was yesterday. Yeah. Anyway, it's good that drivers don't have a good memory when you hit something. So, but I just want to thank everybody at Lucas and Mission Foods, Trans Am, Franklin Road. Hey, Ken Twaits, I don't know where you are, team principal, but thanks for running the stuff for me so I can just be a driver. But the crew, Jagger, Elin, Lacey, I love you, coming home soon. Dyson, he's been waiting for his first 2 races, you know, so congratulations. And Menard, man, he's coming, and the Gentilozzi family, 3GT, everybody on the Jim Weed team, wow.
Nice. I love it. Yeah, I got them all.
I think that's good.
Speaking of, I heard that the most loved person in the Trans Am paddock, Paul Gentilozzi, is here. Where is he? Woo. Where's Paul Gentilozzi? Come on now. We just want to say hi. Everybody loves Paul Gentilozzi.
I got to say, MAV TV. And coincidentally, me and Paul Gentilozzi both got speeding tickets this weekend.
Awesome. That's awesome. Well, Paul Menard, take the mic. Tell us about your race.
Yeah, fun race, fun weekend. You know, just pleasure working with Tony and Paul and all these guys. You know, they built a really fast Ford Mustang. It's been fast every race we've been to. We kind of knew our Achilles heel was tire longevity, just getting to the end of the race, and we've been making gains on it. We're going to keep working on that. Chris is just too fast on the old tires before that caution, and I felt like I was better than him in some sections. He was better than me in others, and it was a hell of a race. It was a lot of fun. We raced clean, side by side, and we'll continue that throughout the year. We're gonna battle till the end of the year together, and keep it clean, keep it safe, and be smart, but have a lot of fun and be competitive.
Nice. I love it. I love it. Paul Menard. Now, Chris Dyson, you got second place a couple weeks ago in Atlanta by about the same gap that you won here. This has got to feel pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's more fun this way, I'll tell you that, Ben. Honestly, just a really, really terrific weekend for the whole Jim Weed team. I'm so thrilled to be back here standing on top of the podium and down here in NOLA. Great race with Paul, I mean, the whole way through it, and we knew that coming in. I think we both knew that coming in. We had big speed all weekend, and it just came down to being in the right place, the right time, and having a car that could manage our tires, like Paul said. We were just phenomenal on the long runs, and I think this is how it's going to be all the rest of the year. And you know, you look at the battle we had at Atlanta with Andretti, and then Paul here. You know, Tommy's right up there too. It's a fight every weekend. That's what makes these wins so meaningful, so special. Especially special for me this weekend because my wife Joy's here with me this weekend, and just so happy to have her support and all the guys. This one's for you. We were down here working hard all winter, and I think we've got a great car to take everywhere, and I think you know, we've got nothing to do but win now because this guy's in the lead, and we got to go chase him.
Nice. I love it. All right, come on, New Orleans. Let's get loud. Tommy Dreesy, Paul Menard, Chris Dyson. Hold those trophies up, gentlemen. I love it. Man, New Orleans, I like this crowd. Keep it up back there. All right, hold on. Mr. Claggett, come up here. Let's get one picture with El Presidente right up front and center, John Claggett. Let's hear one more time for John Claggett, the president of this whole thing. Come on now, hold those trophies up. John Claggett, Tommy Dreesy, Paul Menard, Chris Dyson. This is some legends of motorsports right here. I love it. John Claggett, we are going to really miss you, man. Uh-oh. Watch out, John. Watch out, John. They're all of age. Oh, right on the El Presidente. All right, New Orleans, how about that? The Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli. Yeah, I'm going to throw it back up to the booth as he gives out one for the homies.
At least it isn't tomorrow when I'm getting...
And thank you so much, Ben Sissel, for joining us and getting the podium together. It doesn't get a whole lot better than that. We've got more racing action for you on the day. as they get ready to go, but we've got highlights coming up in a few minutes here at this point. Stick with us through the weekend, though, because we've got plenty more action coming on up.
Thank you, guys. Thought it worked great. And just so you know, talent, that was excellent on the cues. That did not break.
Kind of composes things, and he rockets by Sima.
There's Boris said.
One of the ways you overtake here at Sebring is really good in the braking zone, like this one right here.
Both go around. There's the green.